Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to be taking apart a Nintendo Wii, and before we begin I just want to apologize. It's been a while since I made any new videos. Very easy explanation. If you watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that me and the wife has been planning to move to a different house and start a new life over there, but due to unforeseen issues, we haven't been able to do so. We're still going to be moving there, it's just taking a lot longer than anticipated, so we're kind of stuck in a limbo. But it does also mean that all of my stuff is boxed up, ready for the move. That's why I haven't been making any videos lately, because I don't know where half of my stuff is. It's just very chaotic. However, this was given to me yesterday by a friend of mine, makes me able to make another video. With that in mind, we'll just jump right into it. Now, this is the Nintendo Wii, the model 001. Yep, as you can see right there. Now that means that it is compatible with GameCube games, so it has the controllers over here, and of course it also has the memory card units right here. Later models of the Wii does not have this backwards compatibility to the GameCube, which makes the earlier model Wiis more sought after. You're also going to need a few more items to get into it. And you're going to need a fine tip Phillips screwdriver. Now I prefer the Kobalt myself here, due to the fact that it has a lot of interchangeable bits. There's going to be hex bits, flat screws, Phillips. A lot of the screws you need for any kind of console repair are going to be included in this set. That's why I like it so much. As always, I'll put some Amazon affiliate links in the description down below, where you can buy all of this stuff, and doing so really helps me out and helps supports the channel, so I really appreciate that. You're also going to need a Triwing. Now this is one that Nintendo uses a lot. It basically has, as you can see here, it has 3 prongs instead of the normal 4. And Nintendo uses that for a lot of its console. And of course, tweezers, having that on hand is just super helpful to get those screws out. You're also going to need a lot of patience, because the Nintendo Wii, there is a bunch of screws here. And the majority of them are hidden away, almost as if Nintendo didn't want you to go into them. So first things we're going to do is we're going to take off the covers here. You can notice that I'm missing one, but hey, it was a gift. I'm not going to complain that it doesn't have the top lid there. You can easily replace that. That's no biggie. But in order to take them off, you just lift them up. And then let me just flip that around here. Now once you have it flipped over, it's just a little easier to see, but you have these little holes here. I'm going to show you here actually. There's a little divot at the end, and that's where there's a little joint. So you just lift it up, and then you just pull straight up, and you release those legs, and you can see here how those little prongs there are just hooked in here. So we'll throw this in the water, which is another thing you're going to need. Just a little container of hot soapy water, that's all. Most of the gunk on these systems are going to be fat and residue from your fingers. You use hand soap to wash that off. Clean and simple. Now the first thing you're going to notice here are these 3 little screws right here. There's one tiny one here, in the middle, and then on the far side. And we're going to take those out. Now I like to hold it this way so I have the bottom of the console towards me. I just feel that makes it easier for me to remember where the screws go. What I would suggest especially with the Wii. I mean, you do have the luxury of having this video. You can always rewind and repeat and freeze frame to figure out where the screws go. But if you're ever taking apart a console and you're not, you've never done it before, just take photos along the way. That's, it shows you where the screws go, where you took them out. It documents your entire trip, so it's easier for you to put it back on again. Oh yeah, also, you might notice that my wedding ring is not here. There's no problem with me and the missus. It's just that, yeah, I need to get that resized. So while I'm waiting for that to be resized, I've just taken it off. There's no problem in the home, just before you freak out. Anyways, we're gonna take these out. So just a normal Phillips screwdriver. And then we're gonna put that to the side. And then this last one over here is going to be a little longer. The reason for that is that it holds the front cover in place. So there's a little tab from the front cover that goes down around here where the screw goes through. And it's the same on the other side. So if you go right over, that means that under this foot there's another screw. So that's one of the hidden screws. But for now, let's just take this out. And then that's one of those that it's helpful to have the the tweezer close by. And then just to show you a little comparison here, if we can get them to lay next to each other. So there we go. So you can see that one of them is a lot longer than the other one. So we'll put those to the side over there. Now, there's nothing more to do here at the point. We need to take the cover off first. So what we'll do is we'll flip it over to the other side. And you can see here that there's a screw right there. And that is actually for the battery that goes in here for the sensors. So we're going to take that out. And again, that's just a normal Phillips. Just like that. And then this thing will lift out. And then, as I said here, you have the battery hiding right there. So we're going to take out the battery. We're going to take this piece here and just throw in the soapy water. And you can see that that exposed a screw under here, and that's a Triwing screw. So we're going to take that out. Like that. And personally, I like to put things where they belong together. So you can see here I put the screw next to the battery because I know that those things go together. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to need to take this off in order to get the front cover off. But there's also some extra hidden screws. There's one here, one there. So we're going to take all of those 4 screws out. And for this, just flip this over and get a flat head. So you can pry those open. If you have any problems with this, you can use a hairdryer to just go over these stickers. And that's going to release the glue, making it easier to get through it. So let's see here. So we'll just go in and lift that up. There we go. Now we'll put that to the side here. And then you can see one screw popping up there. We'll do the same over here. And as for these 3 over here, they're actually 2 layers. There's a little plastic sticker on the top, and then there's almost like a very thin piece of like hard plastic below that. And that is so that you won't be able to just take a screwdriver and push it straight through, you know. So they really did not want you to get into one of these, but we're gonna do it anyways. So let's see here. So yep, got both there. So just make sure that, you know, you get both layers out. So let's see, the last one. There we go. Yeah, and that did split a little bit there. So you can see here how there's 2 layers. So just make sure that you get both of them out. I'm gonna put that over there. And then I'm going to take these out. So this one right here, that's just a Phillips. There we go. We can put that with the other one that locks the lid in top here, lid in place. So both of these screws right on the end here, they're going to be the same type of screws. And then we have a Triwing down here. I'm going to put that over there. And then we had these 2 up here. And that's another reason why I like to have the console with the bottom facing towards me, is it tends to be logical as to where the screws go. So if you remember, this was a Triwing, this is a Triwing. Then you got Phillips and Phillips and Phillips. So one layer will always be the same set of screws, the other layer will always be the opposite. And by doing it this way, I can layer the screws over on this side. So I have the battery here, and I have the 2 screws that'll go underneath the Triwings, and then I got the 2 screws that'll go on this top layer. So, you know, bottom layer, top layer. Easy. At least for me. I mean, you might find a way that's better for you, but for me, this is the way it works. So now we can take this off. Wait, I forgot, there's even more screws. Nintendo. So there's screws underneath these little feet here as well. There are also some screws over here, but we'll get to that later. So what we need to do is take these off. Sorry, I meant these little flaps here. So you can see that there's a flap here, and there's another flap there. Now these screws do have, these feet do have screws under them, but not these 2. It's these stickers that we're looking for still. So let's see, we'll go into that. It's the problem when you do a lot of consoles, you sometimes mix them up. So there we go. We'll put that with the other covers over here. And then same over here. Just pop that open. There we go. And then these are Triwings. And we can put that with the other screws that are holding the front cover in place. And we're gonna put these at the bottom, showing that this is where the bottom of the console is, and the other 2 are for the sides. So with that taken care of, we can then lift this up. And it's going to be connected with a little cable still. So you can see right here. So in order to get that out, we just take a little flat screwdriver, go from one side here, just gently pry it up, and then we do the same from the other side. And you just keep alternating, just like that. And there you have it. That's the top lid taken out. So we'll put that on the side for now. And then we'll continue, and we're now going to take these two legs off. And the same here, just go in with a flat head and just go underneath. There you go. And the same over here. There you go. And these two screws are socketed, so they're going to be hiding deep in, but they are Triwing. So we'll take those out. There we go. Put those to the side. Drop one in the process. There we go. There we go. And with all of that done, we can now take this little cover here off. This is just a thin piece, and that just lifts straight up. And there's a little tab right here, so you can see right here on the edge there. So just take that up. We'll throw this in the water as well. And just when you thought there weren't many more screws, here's 4 more. And again, the 2 at the bottom are Triwing, the 2 at the top are Phillips. So as I said, just keep the bottom towards you at all time, and it does make it easier to organize all of these screws here as you go along. So we'll put this new layer over here, and then switch this around. Go. Now with that done, we can finally separate this here. So in order to do that, you just take a firm grip and separate it by the seam here. And you'll see that the seam differs all over the console. So some areas is very thin, like here, there's barely any, place for you to grip. And other places like here, there's massive amount. It's like split down the middle. So you just gently peel until you finally pry it apart. And you can take this piece and throw in the water. But before we do, we got this little air vent here. And that just lifts straight up like that. So that's easy enough. And you'll be able to do a lot better cleaning on this now. So we'll throw that in the water. Same with this, we'll just throw this whole thing in the water, let that soak up. And then we have the actual console here. So we'll just lift this here, which is the shield, just like that, and take that off. Now sometimes this will come off with the lid itself, and sometimes, like here, it's kind of stuck, but there's nothing holding this down at this point, so you can just take that straight up. So we're going to throw that in the water there as well. And there's one last thing we want to do to this, and that is the fan assembly right here. So you want to take that apart, and that's hold together with 2 screws on the side here. So So we're going to take that up. Just like that. And then it's connected right here. This cable can be a little tricky, so we'll switch over to the flat head. And you don't want to pull too hard on the cords here, but you do want to give it a little tug just so, because there's really no leverage point at this base here. So you just pull a little as you're trying to just push this up. And just alternate side by side. Like that. And then that'll pop out for you. So now we'll be able to give this a much better clean. So we'll take the screws out here. And we'll put that to the side. And then there you go. So there's no need to go any further into it from this point on. You will be able to do pretty much anything you need to do. There's great access to everything. If you do want to go further down, you have to take off these screws and this screw right here to loosen out the ribbon cable right here. And then you can lift that up and you'll get access. So if you have a disc stuck in here, that's one way of getting to it. But for the cleaning purposes, you really don't need to. You can get compressed air into all of these orifices here, Q-tips on all of these. So really it's really simple to clean it from here. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, now that I've cleaned all those plastic pieces and everything that doesn't have electronics in it that's sitting over there to dry, the next is to go over the actual engine, the console part itself. And to do that, I'm going to use this. This is a DataVac electric duster. And it is an amazing tool to have if you do any kind of refurbishing. They're a little on the expensive side. They, they cost about, I believe, $50 or so, but they never run out. They're electric, and they are incredible. They will force a lot of air out. They come with a lot of funnels and nozzles, so it's easy to, reach all of those places. And, you can, if you want to go a cheaper route, you can buy like little compressed air canisters. You can buy those at Best Buy and computer electronics stores. I think even like a couple of food stores even have them, I think. And they typically cost about $10 for like a 3-pack. So roughly $3, per canister. But they do run out of air fairly quickly, and you'll keep buying them. So in the long run, this actually saves you a lot of money. It all depends on how much you're going to use it. I also really recommend having just some kind of protection for the dust. You never know what's in there. Could be fecal matter for all you know from cockroaches and so on, and you don't want to breathe that stuff. Also, I'm allergic to dust, so this is the best hobby for me to have. So this is a must for me. But also for pieces like this, we'll go over that with a Q-tip and some isopropyl alcohol, but just clean everything out as good as we can. The same is going to go for this. I'm going to do a Q-tip and isopropyl alcohol to go over all the pieces here to make sure that everything is clean. But with that being said, let's just get to it and get this baby clean. And now that everything has been thoroughly cleaned, this should also be pretty much dry over here, but we'll take a closer look as we put it all together. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the actual console. So the front is facing us here, and then you have the cable connectors and so on the back here. We can start with the lid itself, so we'll just put that to the side. Take the RF shield, which we're going to then put in, and you can see how it has these little cutouts at the corners, and that is for these little divots right here. Those are some screw points, so they're going to be going through here. And of course you can see here how you have these beveled edges, and that is for the GameCube controller ports. So you just line those up and then make sure that the screw points go through right here, and just like that. And then that's the first part of everything. So we'll put that back together here. And then let's do the fan. So we'll flip this over again. And you can see here the fan looks a lot better now. So we're going to take that and just slide that into its little socket right here, just like that. And then take the two screws, which are these, and then screw those in place. Now, another thing that you can do at this point is basically to take the screws first and just put those through these little holes here. It'll make it a little easier when you try to connect everything. So just slide that in, and then make sure that you don't drop those screws, and just screw it in place. Now, as always, when you screw anything in plastic, you should never use too much force, because the metal screws are of course stronger than the plastic, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And then we're going to attach the little cable here. Now if you look closely, if this thing will zoom here, if we can hold it straight, you see it has a little foot on the side here. So if you look at the straight on view, you'll see how those kind of legs stick out, and those are going to go on the side here. There's a little cutout for them, and this can only go in one way. So you just kind of, it's easier to do holding it down using both hands, but you just maneuver this so that it hits that socket, and then once you have it there, it's just a matter of pushing it down. So you can see here how that's not all the way down, but we'll just give it a little push like that, and that's it. Now of course you want to be gentle so that you don't pinch the cables or do anything damage wise to them. And now that that's in place, we can flip this over again and then take the lid with the shield in place. You have the outlets on the back and then the front here, so we'll just put that over and then just slide it on. Now you have all of these little things on the side to help you guide your way, but it's really not a big deal. You just line it up, and when everything is aligned properly, it will just slide down. And you can also see here at the sides how the seam will fit perfectly all the way around when you have it in the correct spot. Never force it, it should come naturally. So there you go. Now that we have that in place, we can start to screw in a couple of screws. So we're going to start with these where the controller ports are, and just move this a little bit here. If you can remember correctly, there are 2 screws on the bottom here, and then there are 2 screws on the top. Now there are several screw holes here, so if you are a little unsure about where to go, you can bring this out, and you will see that it'll hide all the screw points except for the 3 at the top here, the small ones. So that one, and that one, which means that we're going to screw in to the others. Those are underneath this. So we'll start by taking this, which is the star screw, the Triwing. And since that is in the bottom layer over there, I know that this is going to go in the bottom right here. So let's put the first screw in here. Again, just be careful, don't force it too much. It will go down eventually. And then the same over on this side. Sure it's level, there we go. And then we switch over to the Phillips for the screws at the top here. There you go. Now with those in place, we can take this cover and align it. Remember that it has these little feet right here. So, and it also has these little cutouts here that's going to go in here. So you just line it up and then do the bottom piece first. That's where the feet are. Just like that. And then that'll just pop straight in. And what we're going to do at this point is to take the 2 screws over here and screw them in just to hold this in place. And those are going to be the smallest screws that we have, these little guys right here. So just those 2. And this is just to hold this little cover plate in place while we put the front on. And if you remember, this screw holds the front piece. So it's just these two at the moment. Just like that. Then we can flip it around and we'll do the other side. This is the battery compartment. And go over to the screws by the batteries. And I got the two lower ones. So right here, that's a Triwing. And then another Triwing over here. And then we have the two Phillips at the top here. Like that. Then we got the battery itself, so we'll just take this and it tells you right here which direction the battery should be going in. So it should have the plus up, which is the flat side, the negative side is the concave, I think, yeah, concave side that goes down. So plus up. And then you might need to hold that a little bit as you maneuver it in here. And then just screw that in place as well. Just like that. And then before we put the cover on, we want to make sure that we put in these two screws right here. And those are going to be these screws. So we'll just drop them in their holes. And these are Triwings. And then we'll screw those down. And of course, if you're an idiot like myself, then yeah. So let's do that again, shall we? Okay, so now that I've retraced all of my steps back to this point, we're going to take this and we're going to put it in here. And you can see that it's just kind of loose there. It'll just fall out if we give it a little nudge. So this is actually going to hold it in place. So we're going to just take that here, and put it in, and then you can see right here that this little like groove or nudge or whatever you want to call it, that holds onto this, so it prevents it from falling. So now that we've done all of that, we can put everything back together again, and we'll go all the way back to where we originally were in the video. Okay, there we go. Back to basics, or at least where we were. Yeah, don't forget that little important detail there. So if you noticed, I did things in a little different, I would say, sequence this time. It doesn't really matter which side you start to screw first. It's just a matter of when you're on one of the sides to do it in the correct order, especially like with this little cover here. But anyways, now that we have all of that, we're gonna start with the front piece. So this screw hole and this one here, and then two on the bottom here, that's what's holding the front cover in place. So we're going to put that on, and of course we're going to line it so that the disc cover here goes where the disc reader is, and we also have to attach this little cable right here. So just like with the other cable, just kind of make sure that you get a good direction here so that you can slide that in. Let's see. There we go. So it might be a little difficult to see, but basically just find a way that you can put it in there and use a screwdriver to kind of gently nudge it down, but make sure that you do not, under any circumstance, hurt the cables. You just want to push on the plastic itself. Just like that. And then we'll align this. And you can see here where those little feet are. That's going to connect to the screws. So we'll align that so that it slides in. There we go. And then we'll screw those in place. And we'll take these here and then just screw in on the side. And both of the top side screws are going to be the same diameter, and the bottom screws are going to be the same. So the easiest way to remember which is which of the screws you have left is that this screw over here is going to be the same on the other side, but it has the same diameter as these two, making it, you know, one of these tiny little ones here. So that is going to go right here. And then after you've done that, you're only going to have two screws left, and they're going to be a little bit bigger and a little bit more hardy, and those are going to go at the bottom right here. And then just screw those in place as well, and those are Triwings, so it helps to have the correct screwdriver. So that's another way to set them apart. Like that. Now we got the lid. There should be two, I only have one. In order to put it back, you just snap it in here. So just guide the feet in, and you'll hear it snap, and that's it. And then of course we want to cover up all the holes. So we'll take our stickers. And you might have to reapply some glue to these, but the rectangular ones go on the bottom here. And then another one over here. Go. And then we're gonna put the covers back here. So these are going to be the little squares. And then we have the rubber foot, which is going to go in the corner right here. So there we go. And then last, the two rectangular rubber feet on the bottom. There we go. And then the very final thing is, of course, to use my favorite tool, the orange pledge, and just wipe the whole unit down. And what this does is it kind of polishes at the same time that it makes it a little bit harder for dust to settle on it. So this is, you know, just regular cleaning, but it just looks amazing on these plastic consoles. It brings it a whole new life. So we'll just go over all the sides. So and there you go. And that's how you take the Wii apart. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you do, please give the video a like, subscribe, and I will keep you updated as soon as I know more. And thank you again.